It's time to prepare for Power Rangers Shattered Grid. That's the story in which the evil Green Ranger has returned to attack our heroes. But before we can get to that, we need to finish up the Finster storyline. It's time to find out what we're going to do about Finster's monsters, what's happening with the Power Rangers, what's happening with the first Power Ranger, and now that Zordon's back, what does he think about all of this? It's time to get ready. In our last video, we watched in the beginning of the Power Rangers history when Zordon called upon the help of Grace Sterling to stop the threat on the moon. Though Grace and her team defeated the monster, it came at the cost of 3 of the 5 Rangers, something Zordon never told the current team. After helping deal with one of Finster's creatures, Alpha contacted the Rangers telling them that they've done it. Zordon has returned. Off on a distant world, a wizard stops by a small bar, and the bartender asks why would he come all the way out here? Surely there are other places closer. The wizard lifts his cup, stating that it is because they concoct the best potions. How could he go anywhere else? The bartender laughs, telling him, "I'm not so sure how to take that, coming from the Wizard of Deception." The wizard begins to laugh, telling him that deception does not preclude honesty. Well, perhaps sometimes, but now when we're talking about beverage selections. A voice then asks, how about works for hire then? Rita Repulsa tells the wizard that he is a hard person to find, and the wizard says, of course, anything worthwhile should not be easily obtained. Rita asks the man, does he know who she is? And he tells her that it doesn't matter, she knows who he is, which means coming this far, she knows what he requires. She holds out a small pouch stating that the last embers from the last volcano of Soromir, truly a priceless collection. There would be more if he is to deliver what she seeks. The wizard asks, what is? And she hands over a scroll stating that a magic that is rather complex. The wizard unfolds the scroll and says, indeed it is. I can make the object that you so desire. However, volcano embers will not be nearly enough payment. She begins to state that she also has, but the man stops her, stating that she has no object that he could possibly want. She asked before he knew who she was, and he does. He knows her character, her very soul, and what he seeks from her is the truth. A deep, dark truth that cuts deep down to the core. Does she know the words that he requires? Rita remains quiet, and the wizard tells her to speak the words of truth. Why does she require this object from the Wizard of Deception? She looks away, stating that it is because she has made a terrible mistake. She has failed. She fears what will happen if she does not take back what she foolishly gave away. The man looks at the scroll, stating that he can sense her words are true. The Wizard of Deception will craft this object for her. Now go home and wait. He'll deliver her vindication soon. Back on Earth in the command center, the Rangers welcome Zordon back with open arms, but Jason has a concern. He tells Zordon that they have been working with Grace Sterling. Why did he not tell them about the other Rangers? Zordon says that the events of 1969 remain to be the source of some of his deepest regrets. Throwing Grace's team into an overwhelming situation, the loss of life, is something that he has trouble dealing with, even to this day. Zach steps up, telling him that it doesn't explain why he didn't tell them, or asked him to keep Rita's offer a secret. He doesn't mean to be cynical, but there's a pattern here. He wants them to trust him, but it's like he doesn't trust them. Zordon says that he fully understands their concerns in an attempt to shield them from any unpleasant aspects of the past. He has greatly misjudged them. Trini then says, all right, we've been working with Grace, and she said that they have a way of tracking Finster's monsters before they transform. And Zordon tells her that he must admit, he finds himself with reluctance. Prometheus technology is several generations above the status quo. It's concerning where she obtained it. Billy asks if it's possible that it might be tied to the Morphin grid, and Zordon says that it is possible. However, as they may wish to shape the course of human history, the Power Rangers are not designed to change the world, but instead to defend and protect it. Jason tells him, yeah, but he picked humans to be Power Rangers, actually teenagers, who also want to make the world a better place, so how could he expect them not to want to help? Saba then adds, I must agree with Jason. Our main focus should be dealing with Finster's creations. I have another plan that I would like to pursue. However, I need to prepare for the worst. Zordon tells them that if they wish to work alongside Grace, they may, but all he can offer them is caution. Be careful, and may the power protect them. While the Rangers head back to Prometheus, Saba heads over to the pocket dimension where Finster is being held. Finster asks, who exactly are you? And Saba tells him, I am from a world of time where you are no more. You fell alongside your Empress. Finster tells him, that is rather intriguing. You have my attention. Saba continues telling him, I've come here with a proposition, one that may in fact save your life. You can do what you so love to do, and that is create. Currently, you are building at the mercy of a tetramental moon witch who lacks vision. I can offer you a reprieve, a truce, a paradise. All you have to do is stay here. Suddenly, the darkness begins to change to that of a jungle, and Saba tells him, here, dreams come true. I can create, truly create anything that you wish. All you have to do is disable your current monsters. Do that, and all of this can be yours. Finster looks around and then asks, "What good is creation if it cannot be experienced?" And Saba then asks, "I thought the point of art was purely about the art, not the audience." And Finster tells him, "For some maybe, but for me, the reaction is the creation. To build for the sake of building is boring. However impressive this place is, it would require me to be able to control my creations, which I cannot. If I could, it would defeat the point of creating them in the first place." Meanwhile, with Jason and Grace goes over some of their future plans, and Jason then asks, how did she do it? How did she handle being the leader after what happened on the moon? And Grace tells him that she didn't handle it particularly well, if they're being honest. It's like being in a haze for weeks and then depression after that. She wouldn't say that it gets easier, but the years do tend to dull the edges. Is that something that he is afraid of happening? Jason then says that after everything that happened to Tommy and Billy, it keeps him up at night thinking that they could have been lost forever. Grace places her hand on Jason's shoulder, telling him that if there's anything that she can do to make that helmet even a little lighter, please let her know. Jason says that he appreciates it, but just then, the warning of another of Finster's creatures goes off. Grace looks at the projector and says that it looks like they didn't have any warning this time, and the monster is in New York. Jason tells the team to suit up, they're heading out, and as everyone teleports, Andrea walks in, stating that teleportation tech is really impressive. So everything going off to a good start? Grace tells her yeah, and then Andrea asks, "Do they know yet?" Grace tells her no, not yet, and Andrea asks, "You will tell them, right?" Grace says when the time is right, but right now they have a world to save. A short while later, as the Rangers arrive in New York, they find a giant sheep screaming, "Only one Olsen!" And the nearby people are covering their ears. Zach says, "Okay, what do we think this one's called?" And Jason says, "Goat Yeller?" And Zach tells him, "I was thinking Ram Screamer." The sheep then yells, "Earth is flat!" And Trini then says, "Maybe we should ask him." Kim jumps next to the sheep asking, "Hey!" And the sheep asks, "Have you come to hear the word of the sheeple?" And Zach snaps his finger stating, "Ah! Sheep!" Sheeple then tells them, "You cannot silence the word. The people need to hear the word. The world is a lie." Just then, Sheeple releases a blast, knocking everyone back and shedding his wool. Trini helps Kim up and says, "Okay, that one's even weird by Finster standards." And Sheeple yells, "To me, my Sheeple! Pass the word! Wake up!" Suddenly, mouths begin to come out of the wool, and they all begin to yell, "The earth is flat!" As the Rangers try to hold back the sheep, Sheeple yells, "Come to me and spread the word!" Just then, all of the sheep begin to race down the street, charging into people, cars, and taking them with the group. Kim asks, what are they supposed to do now? Their attacks aren't really doing anything. And Billy thinks about it for a moment and then says, the word, oh, I might just have an idea. He calls down the Triceratops and begins to chase after Sheeple. Jason then says, what is he planning? And Billy tells them, the way Sheeple is controlling those other sheep is by voice. If we analyze the voice pattern, seconds later, Billy calls out over the intercom in Sheeple's voice, "Release the prisoners!" The sheep then start doing what Billy asked, and Sheeple says, "Hey, wait! You're supposed to be listening to me!" And Billy then says, "Okay, try this. Sheeple, attack me!" Suddenly, all of the sheep begin to swarm around Sheeple, and they begin to bite and chew until Sheeple loses his powers and the sheep melt away. As Billy teleports out, Zach yells, "That was great!" But before they can enjoy their victory, Grace radios in that they have a situation developing in Vancouver that needs them right now. A few moments later, over in Vancouver, Jason and the team teleport in to find Grace already working with law enforcement agencies. She tells them it's great that they came, and Jason looks around asking what's going on. She explains that they just received a ping that a monster has just crossed the 12-hour mark, and they're having trouble locating it, so they're trying to narrow down the search. Tommy then says, "Wait, you're quarantining people?" And Grace tells him, in order to find a monster, yes, that is exactly what we're doing. We've received the authority from the government here to help move through the city block by block. Once we find the monster, things will go back to normal. Jason yells that she's holding people against their will. That isn't what they signed up for. And Grace says that until they find the target, this needs to happen. Jason looks back at Billy, asking if there's anything that they could do. Maybe make the scanners faster, boost them? And Billy says that he might be able to work on it back at the lab. Trini says that she'll go with him, and the two of them teleport away, with Jason telling Grace that this doesn't happen again. If we're going to work together. But she stops them, stating, "We'll discuss next time, later. Right now, grab a scanner. The sooner we get through this, the better for everyone." Meanwhile, over in Finster's cell, he sits reading a book when he hears Rita's voice call out to him. He asks if it's really her, and Rita tells him, of course! Now that he's gone and decided to waste time playing games, it's time for him to come home. He takes off his glasses, folding them, and uses them to create a portal that he just easily walks out of. But back over at Promethea Labs, Billy finishes putting a scanner back together, stating, "All right, I found a way to double the speed of scanning. With this, we can be done with Vancouver a lot sooner than later." Trini takes the scanner and tells him, great, she'll start giving these out, and she'll be back later. Andrea then tells Billy that it was very impressive engineering. Thinking about it on the fly, great work. He says thanks, but it wouldn't have been possible if she didn't let him have access to the subsystem relay. And that was also something else that he noticed, that he was looking at energy expenditures, and it is only half of what a campus like this should be consuming. Andrea says, well, they like to be efficient. And Billy says, right, but how is that even possible? There's even a wing consuming only half of what is shown. How could everything else be using so little? And that one wing be using so much of your energy? Andrea brushes the question off, telling him, oh, you know, trade secrets. There are some things that even I don't know. And after some time passes, Andrea leaves, with Billy heading over to that wing to find 2 armed guards watching the door. They ask if they can help him, and Billy says, sorry, I just got lost. What's through that door? One of the guards tells him that it's off limits, even to him. And Billy then tells him that he understands, sorry to bother. Once he gets around the corner, he checks to make sure nobody's watching, and then he teleports to the other side of the door. As he touches down, a voice says, well now, that is certainly one way to get past a door. Billy stares at where the voice is coming from and says, it's you! The man standing before him says, that's right, Billy. Go ahead and say my name, because Lord Draken demands it. And there you have it. Draken is a prisoner. And that means that he, of course, is going to get free. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the Shattered Grid storyline that is now starting. Make sure you subscribe to right here at Comicstorian, because we are trying to bring you guys a Power Ranger story probably about once a month, maybe every other month. But to keep up with the storyline, we are bringing them as fast as we can, and I hope you guys are enjoying. I will see you next time right here at Comicstorian. And don't forget to join one of the most amazing Discord communities out there, our Discord community. I may be a little more biased than I should be. Check out the link down below.